The term angel investors may sound odd. I think it is. It comes from Hollywood. When people were writing scripts for new movies, they were looking for somebody who would invest. And for some reason, investors who said, yeah, I will invest in making your movie, and they would call that an angel. And so what happened was that the whole venture industry took over that term. So angels here are individual people, so private people who invest significant amounts of money. By significant, I mean can be from $200,000 and up to millions. And they almost always are quite professional business people. Most of them seem to be previous entrepreneurs who have been through the whole process of building up a startup, and who, since they are able to make investments, apparently have some money that they can invest. But I've also seen angels who are lawyers, for instance, so lawyers who see a lot of transaction and advise startups and advise investors and see how much money is sometimes made and get fascinated by the whole process. I've also seen serious business people, former executives from banks and tech companies and so on, later in their life become angels. And sometimes the angels will invest without having only a financial motive. I know quite a lot of angel investors who go in and invest in stuff like sports clubs and restaurants, hotels and so on, where they know that this is not where you are likely to make the most money. You actually pretty high risk of not making any money. But they just love the people there, they love the products. The classical thing is you invest in a restaurant or a disco or something like that because you think it's cool. It might be because it's a save the world kind of thing. I want to invest in very early stage quantum computing just because I think quantum computing is so fascinating. That could be an example. So in any case, most of the clever angels, they work in groups, so they become members of angel associations, which makes a lot of sense because in these associations they share knowledge. They have some meetings where they have lots of, or at least several different startups pitching, and sometimes they have a group that does some screening and due diligence. Some of them have a firm system for doing investments, other do it less formal. This makes sense because then they have these meetings where sometimes they have special structures where they present different cases, and if somebody steps forward and say, I'd like to invest, others can follow, and then they appoint a leader. And so it's very efficient when you have a group of angel investors. It can be 10, but it's very often it's like 50 or 100 or more that work together because that it makes it worthwhile for founders of startup companies to come and present to a community, because it's not one investor, it's 100 investors, 200 investors sitting there. So the chances of getting some traction is much higher. And then they have typically a system of distributing information online, and sometimes I've seen in some cases they have online databases where they can go in and check who's investing in what and who are the lead and who does the due diligence and all the rest of it. Very often they want to be in only for a part of the journey, and then they want to resell to somebody else. In many cases, angels, investors, and angel communities, they work very closely together with some venture capital funds, which are focused on the later stage. And there are also venture capital funds that do a great effort to have super good connections with angel communities. And the purpose from both of them is like the same. It is that the company first needs to get early stage investment and then later stage investments. So for the venture capital funds, of course, the angel investors is like a screening mechanism. It's eyes and ears. And for the angel investors, the venture funds are the ones who come and take it to the next step. So really, really good and important cooperation. one big theme as an investor is whether you want to be passive or active or super active. When you're super active, it can mean that you're very founder friendly. So passive is simply you invest, like fire and forget, you invest some money and you don't go on the board, you don't do anything. You just wait until they call and say we're in trouble or we're going public or we're doing another round, do you want to join? The problem about being passive is that when you get these kind of questions like we're doing another round, do you want to invest? Is that you don't understand the situation of the company. You don't know if it's great to invest or you should not do it. So most professional investors, they either want to be on a board or they want to co-invest with somebody they trust who are on the board, so they have really close connection to the company. But the better funds and the better investors, like the great angel investors and the great venture capital funds, are far more engaged. They roll up their sleeves, they go to work, so they not only sit on the board, but they do some very hands-on help. And you have to bear in mind that the great startup founders, they will check the reputation of different investors. And they will choose the ones that have a really great reputation to get into the rounds, and they will reject the ones that are not helpful, and they will certainly reject the ones that are a pain in the neck.
Do you speak future?